For today's project, we'll be working on a 2008 Civic. Just changing the struts front and rear. Nothing special, just regular OEM stuff, not dropping it, just these struts kind of blew out, so just gonna change them. And also address this little oil leak from here. See, it's a cam holder or whatever that gasket is called, that has to be changed, so take care of that one also. Usually just jack the car up, take the wheels off, and then I'll show you the process of taking out the struts. So the wheels are off, so basically I have to take off this clip right here. This is a 12mm. I take this off to remove the line. These are two 19s. Then once that's done, we'll just move to the top, which is up here. Just gotta take this cowl out, and I believe these should be 14s underneath there. So I'll show you the process of taking those off also. Okay, the most important step of fixing any cars, or most people may forget, is before you start taking things apart, just double check to make sure the part you're putting on is the correct item. So yes, this looks like it matches up. Currently it is compressed, just gotta pull it out and just bounce a few times and it should be full travel. But these seem to be correct, so we're gonna put them in. So in order to get to the strut, I previously thought you had to take this whole thing out, but we do not have to. Just a little tab right here, and just basically pull it out, and that exposes bolts. So basically use a 3/8 number 14 and 3/8, and you should be able to get it off. So that's I'm about to take them out. The two bolts on the here are already out. This side, the nut was a 19, the actual bolt was a 17. So currently we have everything off. Line 12 is out. Take the 3 bolts at the top, and this whole thing will come out. Just gotta pull this out, pull this whole hub forward, knuckle forward, and that should be able to give you enough room to take everything out. In order to take the struts off, the springs, you need to get a spring compressor. This is the only one I had in the house at the time. The smaller version, which I'm sure everyone's used to, was not here. I believe my friend has it, so use the next best thing. This one is like a little clamp. So basically goes over it, attach it to each spring in one location. Then you just hit it with the gun and it tightens up, and this way to compress the springs, which allows you to be able to take off the top nut, which is right here. And then you should be able to just take this whole setup off, step it over to the new strut, which is sitting right there, and just reverse the steps. So basically it's going to be a little loud, so forgive me. That didn't work too well. Okay. Take 2. The top should be a little loose. You should be able to take off this nut. Every now and then, whenever you're trying to take off the top mount, the strut will just continue to spin. So in a situation like that, you just use a vice grip, clamp it onto the strut, and tighten it down. This way it will prevent it from moving. But this is only to be done when the strut's complete garbage and you're replacing with something else. If you do this on a good strut, it's going to basically damage the seal inside the strut housing, and that will cause whatever strut you're using to be completely garbage at that point. So only use this method when you're replacing strut like I am. So once you take the nut off, just maybe pull the whole thing out. So this is what's called your strut mount. Bump stop is, let me show you this little item right there. That's the bump stop. So we're just going to reuse this one. Everything's going to be fine on it. And just put it onto the new vehicle. Also, you must pay attention to, these have a mark. If this camera will pick it up, but right there, that mark, that's pointing towards the outside of the vehicle as in forward. So when I'm putting it back in, I'll show you how it's done. So the strut is out. This is how you're able to compare if the one you have is bad. This is the new strut, fully extended. This is the old strut, partially extended. So, sorry. What you basically do is push it down. See how it doesn't come back up? It just basically stays there, or at least moves very slowly. That means the stress is blown. This one is a new one. Just push it down. Goes down a bit smoother, easier. But it rebounds. Travels up on its own. And that's a good strut. Generally with the new ones, I like to just prime them. I pump them a few times, maybe 2, 3 to 4 times. Just make sure it extends all the way by itself, and then just install everything else on it backwards and you should be good. That is the spring, that's the mount. I'm just gonna put it back in. So, this one, I just wanna make sure the bottom of the spring is clean. This little rubber mount, this one basically prevents it from making noise when it's stationary. Okay, so I have the strap off. What I basically did was remove the dust boot from the strut mount. This allowed me to put it in a little easier. So that's the, like I was stating, this is the bump stop. That's the strut mount. And this is the dust boot. The thing with these particular cars, you have to get the spring, this part right here, in through this opening, and it actually locks in place right here. So just twist it into place, then it stops. So once that's on, get this part right here, slide it on. And you just tighten everything back up. Just make sure the bottom part of the strut is mounted correctly. It has a little slot that has to go into it right here at the bottom. I'll see if I can show you on the next strut. Every now and then it's a little bit difficult. Comes out, screw on. And once you tighten everything back, you just release the spring clamp. And that should be able to, and that should be the replacement of the new strut. So I stated earlier, I was trying to show you the spring location for the rear of the strut, or the bottom of the strut. The bottom of the spring actually comes around and wedges against this portion right here. Just fits in right here in this little slot. The other side has like a little beacon that just sits and rests right here where my finger is. So basically the strut edge goes right to the front, to this point right here. Let's see if I can show you a better picture. Sits basically like that. Once the spring's compressed, it sits right there. And this little rubber mount right here, this section, the triangular part, it sits right here on this part right here. So I'm gonna put this new strut back together and get going. Oh, small update. In order to get this one to release, you just turn this counterclockwise, right? To extend, just turn this little knob counterclockwise, and it'll just come out by itself. So I stated before, once it's extended all the way, you just basically push it in about 2 to 3 times, just complete rebound travel, and that should prime the strut, so it makes it, once you put the string on, you won't have any blowout or any premature failure.